Welcome to Style of Play, episode 57. We are back after the FA Cup drama with Basil. Kojo will be joining us at some point. But first of all, Kojo, how you doing? How's things?
Listen, not good. Not good. Just not good. I have no words for what's going on with my club right now. But I'm here to face the music.
No, you're here. Now, listen, there's many people that would have ran and hid. And there are a lot of Arsenal fans that have ran and hid somewhere under rocks, beds, cupboards, anywhere they can find some safe space. But we're going to get into all of the game because I think this has to just be about the one game. Well, we're going to talk about quickly skim over the other games, but mainly about your game against Manchester United this weekend in the FA Cup third round. Before we get into that, please make sure if you're new here, if you're new to the YouTube channel, if you're listening on the audio version, make sure you head over to YouTube, subscribe, like the videos, give us your thoughts in the comments as well. And again, similarly, if you're on the YouTube version, there is an audio version of the podcast available. So again, if you're on a commute somewhere to work or wherever, make sure you go to Spotify and listen to the audio version. But before we get into the big game, we got to talk quickly about Tottenham because Tamworth, credit to them. We have to give them a round of applause. We have to clap them off because it was only up until Son, Solanke, and Kulusevski came on that you actually thought Tamworth might get something out of this game. Like, did you see it? I don't know if you got to see the game, but it was.
No, I watched most of the game. Most of the game. I think I watched it up until about 80. Actually, I watched it up until. What time? Up until like 88 minutes. So I watched most of the game. Yeah, but I saw the goals, but I didn't watch extra time. But I watched it up until then.
Yeah, I credit Tamworth. I know. Well, let me ask you a question. Was Tamworth that good, or were they good enough matching Tottenham, or were Tottenham that bad that it just made Tamworth look a little bit better?
I wouldn't say Tottenham were that bad. It was a combination of both. Tamworth were that good in terms of organisation and even sometimes keeping the ball sometimes. Because generally when clubs are that low, they quickly lose possession. Obviously, I'm not saying they were that great compared to Tottenham, but there was times where they looked comfortable on the ball. They looked comfortable breaking, just lacked something in that final third. For me, I can't say Tottenham were bad. I felt Tottenham were coasting. That's what I felt. I felt they could tell the level of opposition that they were playing, and they just went up for the game or didn't raise their energy levels to kind of kill off that game, which is strange because when you compare it to what Man City did to Salford, it's night and day, where Man City treated Salford as though they were playing a Premier League opposition. They did not drop their quality whatsoever, regardless of the fact that it was Salford. Whereas when you look at Tottenham, they dropped their levels and their quality. They were quite slow on the ball. In the final third, there wasn't that same vigor or edge or cutting edge you see from Premier League teams in that final third. And they looked like they were just coasting when I was watching them during that game. But do credit to Tamworth, because I think Tamworth played well, which made it difficult for Tottenham. Because usually what you see, and I'll compare it once again to the Salford game against City, some of the defending was diabolical from Salford. So sometimes Man City didn't have to really break a sweat to score some of those goals. Some of those goals were even handed to them on the plate. Whereas Tamworth, credit to them in terms of how they organised, how they defended, how they structured themselves, not to create or allow easy chances for Tottenham. So that's what I will give Tamworth credit for, because it could have been one of those games if Tamworth don't defend properly, Tottenham don't have to do much to score. But Tamworth made sure it was difficult for Tottenham to get the goals difficult for them to score up until when they got their 3 goals.
Yeah, they made it really difficult, and I thought they played well as a team. I think defensively they were solid. They were literally, anytime the ball was in the box of Tamworth, the first instinct was to get rid of the ball, get this danger away, and that was their game plan, and it worked up until the goals went in. I do feel with Spurs though, it made me realise how much they rely on Heung-min Son, Solanke this season as well. Just because I think as things were going, you could see that they needed to bring those 3 players. They had to bring those players on because at the time it was just like they were never going to win that game with the players that they had on the pitch, if that makes sense. So I do think it showed a heavy reliance on certain players that they have in that squad. I think Archie Ray was good. I thought he played well, had a really good game. But Tottenham were lucky there as well. But for anyone that's listening on the audio version, Kojo, United, we're talking about that shortly. He has joined us. Yeah, as you can tell, he's joined the pod. So, but very very quickly, Brentford, probably the biggest cup shock of the weekend. Really, obviously going out to Plymouth. I think it was 1-0 in the end. But does that just mean that they now have to just focus on the Premier League, Basil? I'll come back to you quickly on that one, since we're jumping on this, and I'm sure Kojo will enjoy his United segment in a minute.
It's a strange one because obviously for teams like Brentford, what do they have to really look forward to? Really,
It's true. No, it's true. It's true.
Because they focus on the league, but then it's like it's not as if they're really challenging for anything in the
It's
league.
true. It's true.
So really and truly, those type of clubs, you kind of want the cup competitions to kind of motivate you a bit or something to look forward to. If you're not really pushing for maybe like a European place or a top four place, where you're really punching above your level, like a Nottingham Forest. So, like for instance, if Forest go out, they kind of say, "Oh, we have the excitement of trying to finish in the top four that motivates them for the season." Whereas with Brentford, they've gone out. You can say they focus on the league, but what can you really focus on in the league?
I think it's just like a lack of. I suppose there's one less game for them to consider in the fixture list, a congested fixture list. But apart from that, I suppose it's trying to, I don't know, maintain Premier League status, and it's a rest for them one week, and they can have a week off or train or whatever else. So yeah, it was a shock though. I didn't see that coming. That result I did not see coming.
I didn't too.
I thought they would have got through it. But this is all about Arsenal versus Manchester United. Let's not talk Liverpool or Chelsea, who successfully got through this weekend. But it is all about Arsenal and Manchester United. I'm gonna let Basil come in first, because I know Kojo. I know you're just waiting in the wings, man. I'm gonna leave you to simmer a little bit longer and just let let Basil have his moment as well. But what I mean, obviously, for anyone that doesn't know, obviously Arsenal were unfortunately who went out last night on penalties against Manchester United in the third round. It was a good game for a neutral to watch. Not as good as a Super Cup in Spain, but it was up there. But what went wrong, Basil? How did Arsenal get into this situation where they're not able to break down a 10-man Manchester United and then go out on penalties in the way that they did?
It's solely down to the manager. I'm sorry to say. People will blame the players and say some of those players. I mean, we know certain players haven't played well or played badly during that game. Namely one Havertz and the likes of Marino. But you have to say the manager can't motivate these group of players. It's not as if Arsenal have bad players. It's still technically the same players that have been challenging for the league for the past 2 seasons. It's the manager. And I've been saying this for the long time. The issue you have with Arsenal is we have a predictable style of play, which worked for the past 2 seasons. I've always said, if you don't reinvent yourself or tweak things or have the ability to adapt, teams will suss you out. And when teams have 2 years worth of information on your team and you have not adapted from the same style of play or approach for those 2 years, it's easy for them to go back in their training ground before the match starts, do their analysis and prepare easily for the game. The issue is solely down to the manager because it's predictable how we try to cut teams open. We pass past, it goes wide, and it's either one or two things. Someone cuts back in and tries to throw in a cross, or someone overlaps. We play that overlapping person and they try to play in the cross. Playing against Arsenal is a defender's dream because you have people like Harry Maguire, who isn't the quickest of defenders, who doesn't, and we've seen it many times, who doesn't like playing where he has to turn back and chase somebody. But it's easy for
Yeah.
all they do is they stay in their positions, know the cross is coming in, and make sure that they're well positioned to head out the ball or clear the ball. And that's what United did for the majority of that game because the tactics is the same. The way Arsenal try to open up teams, it's so predictable and it just doesn't work. And I sit and I sit there and I say, what is Arteta been? What has he been doing for the last 2 months? Because this hasn't been working for a while. At that point, you have to say, this isn't working. Let's try something different. Let's adapt it a bit. But it seems like it's the same approach game after game. So are we surprised that Arsenal lost this game? No. For me, I think the manager's run his course. I spoke with a friend today. I think Arteta, for me, is Arsenal's version of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's brought the good vibes back. No, he has. He's brought the good vibes back. He got us playing a decent amount of football for a period of time. He's settled things, brought in a structure, but he can't. But he's taken us as far as it goes. He can't. He can't take Arsenal to the next level. He can't close when it matters. And sometimes, like I said, there's no shame in that. There's no shame in that. Sometimes you say there's a manager who can take us as far as this go, be the starting point for something greater, and find someone else.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I think he's taken us as far as he can go, and come the end of the season, cut our losses, say thank you very much, goodbye. You've done a good job. Find someone else, because we this is his sixth season. People forget this is his sixth season at the club. No manager's been afforded this amount of time to achieve nothing.
No, everything you're saying is right. I agree. I agree with you 100%.
And before I end, that was a poor United side too, so it's even more of a
No,
disgrace.
I know. This is
Arsenal were knocked out against a team that played with 10 men for about 60 to 70 minutes of a game.
that's what
Absolutely shambolic.
that's what makes it worse, though. I think the fact. I mean, I don't think. I think the referee was at fault for a lot of things in that game. But Kojo, you've been sitting there waiting patiently. You must be happy, obviously, with the result first of all. But before the game, before kickoff, all the rest of it, what was your thoughts going into it? I mean, going to the Emirates is no easy task.
I wasn't feeling negative about the game, funny enough, because I've noticed in recent times Arsenal's form has sort of dropped. If you've watched how they've played approach games, how they've played, and I knew that he's going to go with Delict and Maguire at least, and then obviously Martinez at centre back. So if you're going to cross the balls in, you're going to do a lot of set pieces. You're hoping, number one, that you've learnt your lessons from the previous game where we conceded a lot of stupid chances from set pieces, and number two, just the whole sort of the structure. If the one thing I've always maintained when we talk about Amorim at United is no matter how many games we've lost since he's come in, I've been satisfied. I've been normal. I've been sort of calm because I know that the players are not great, but you can see that he's starting to change the way we approach games, the way we defend things, and teams will always be individual errors, but they're slowly lessening. Even if we have some heavy defeats, it's slowly lessening. Teams are having to break us down a bit more. So going into this game, I wasn't in panic mode. I actually think we can beat Arsenal. I'm not worried about Arsenal anymore. And when the game started, Arsenal are the home side. They're going to be dominating possession. They're going to be, pressing forward, trying to get Odegaard on the ball. The one reason why I knew we had a big chance of winning this game is because of the lack of Saka. Now, it's not about one individual makes the team, but what it is when Arsenal try to create chances and build up chances, you always see Odegaard on that right side because he's looking to do a link up with Saka. So that's why they always have criticism of their left side. Martinelli's not good on the right side. He's not good on the left side this season, to be quite frank, in general. So he's already a factor that's a bit of a problem. Jesus doesn't act like a striker, so he started and he was never playing as a number 9, despite starting the role of a number 9. These things contributed to us feeling a bit more comfortable. Where Arsenal started to get a lot more chances, where they should have scored with Havertz missing, I think, 2 or 3, I'd say, sitters, is when we went down to 10 men. That's when I thought, okay, we're in trouble, because I was like, oh crap, Dalot's cost us game here. What's he doing? Like that was a very stupid red card to get. But nah, Arsenal didn't worry me. Look, football's luck at the end of the day. You need luck in this game of football, and Arsenal fans, Basil can definitely, and I think I would agree and say, look, if Havertz had a bit more of a better touch on him, he's scoring, or someone a bit more comfortable in front of the goal, the chances that he missed, someone competent is scoring those chances. And I absolutely agree.
Send it back and put that away. I'm sorry. Anyone.
I hear it.
Them chances were not, we can't even make a say, he has to score those chances. He has to score them.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. He has to score, but this is what I'm saying on the side of United. That's where you get your luck in football sometimes. And on the day we face someone who just more often than not doesn't know how to finish his dinner. Fortunately for us, so because he doesn't know how to finish his dinner, we were in the game. We got a counter attack. We scored a lovely counter attack. Great goal. They got a break again, set piece. So we've got to do better from that again. But Arsenal weren't. They're not the threatening, scary team that they should have been in this game. But I'm just delighted. More so, there's a lot more fight in this team, man. There's a lot more fight in this team, and I will keep saying it. If this was under a certain previous bold manager, we would have come out with an L in this game. So, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. But we're here. We're doing all right.
Gotta take your wins, man. Gotta take your wins. I think for me the ref was. I'm not blaming him like purely and solely, but
Shocking.
The first moment I thought this ref's not on it today was the Bruno Fernandes. I think it was Gabriel. Was it Gabriel? Oh, Jesus. Sorry, it was Jesus when he got himself injured.
Yep.
Now that to me, you're a referee. You're top of the top referee. You're at the top of your career or whatever. You can't miss those things. Like the man's boots come off, and then you book him. You booked him. I know you're booking him for dissent. Yeah, I get it, but get the call right first. Because if that was me, I wouldn't be throwing my boot on the ground. I'm probably throwing it somewhere else, and I'm getting a red card and a 10-game ban or whatever. Because you can't. How can you miss those things in a game of those stakes, that magnitude, and not get those things right? I think the penalty was a bit soft as well. I'll be honest. I think the penalty was
it wasn't a bit soft. It was not a penalty. I'm not having a bit soft. It was not a penalty, bro. No, I'm not having it. It's not a penalty. Point blank. It's not a penalty. I'm sorry. I'm not having it. It's not a penalty.
What do you think, Basil? Let's see what Basil says.
Yeah, go on, Basil.
I agree. I'm always honest with the thing. It was not a penalty. It was a dive. It was a dive.
Clear as day. Clear as day.
But I can understand why the ref. I can understand why the ref will give it from. I can understand why the ref will give it from his angle and at full pace. Unfortunately, there's no VAR. Unfortunately, to overturn it, but it is a dive. I for that one, I don't really. I know people blame the referee. I blame more Havertz than the referee. I think, like I said, the referee's just been successfully conned. That's what it is. But when you look at how Havertz has done the motion, I can understand why the referee gave that as a penalty. Because even me watching in full play, I thought penalty. Well, obviously I didn't see it properly. When I saw the replay, I thought, oh, it's a clear dive.
Yeah, massive dive. I feel like we got to talk about some of the injuries as well. Obviously, Gabriel Jesus. Jesus came off injured. Jorginho, I think, picked up an injury as well.
Yeah.
It's not a good sign. So I mean, surely Arteta now has to go into that. We watch Kai Havertz for the best part of 90 minutes plus an extra half an hour plus the penalties. Arteta has to go and get a striker. There's no ifs or buts. So after this game, he has to be knocking on that door with someone and saying, "Look, we got to get a striker in this door. It doesn't matter who it is, Mbumo, whoever. You got to get a striker."
The thing is that they're not going to. Anyone, like I said, I've always said, when you look at the history of Arsenal, whenever they've needed players in January, they've never gone and bought players in January. And even if they have, it's never been the right profile players. So we had a bad summer, let's be brutal on it. Even when the transfer window closed, there was a few optimistic Arsenal fans. I absolutely berated our summer transfer business. It was diabolical, let's be brutal. And obviously we can see now it's starting to impact us. So if they couldn't get the business done when they had a lot more time during the summer, what makes people think they're going to get any business done in January? Because the thing is this, Arsenal did not prepare to actually make any signings in January. It's only because the injuries are piling up and players not available. It's like, oh, shoot, now we need to. I'm telling you now, there was no planning. So now you're asking Arsenal now within the next 2 weeks to start planning for signings. No one's coming in. I'm telling you that now. And secondly, even if Arteta bangs on that door, I don't even think they would even trust him to even.
You think it's that far down the road now?
Yeah, I think because when you look at some of the misspent of money and some of the players that we have brought in, probably via recommendations of Edu and Arteta, I think the board will look like, no, we've given you your chance. You brought in Marino, who I'm sorry, Kojo, I know you're going to defend him. At this time and moment, absolutely useless for us. Like
it's fine. Keep using him when he goes somewhere else and does well. It's okay. It's okay, man. That's fine by me. Keep doing it. It's a great day.
There was a tweet I saw where someone was like, he's a conductor on the pitch, will like be pointing and shouting at people, but never really gets on the ball and does anything, which is exactly what he does. Calafiori, like I said, the transfer itself is coming. It's showing that it was not a priority signing. Really and brutally. Like he hasn't added anything to us defensively or offensively. Yes, there's one for the future, but I'm just saying from a priority perspective, if you're going to sign Calafiori, make sure you signed the areas that needed signing. But when you look at it, it's like we signed him and we haven't addressed our key areas. So at this moment, it's like that was not a priority. And then I can't remember who our first, Sterling. I mean, I think Sterling's still a very good player and can
He had a
contribute.
good game
The
yesterday,
issue
I
is that
thought.
he is. The manager just does not want to use him for some strange reason. So really and truly, we're handicapped by that. So like I said, if we didn't do business, so the board were looking at us like, hold on, we've given you signings. The left back, it hasn't we haven't moved forward with the left back. The central midfielder hasn't contributed nothing. The winger you signed, you've barely used him, hasn't contributed anything. So they'll be thinking, why should we go out and spend more money in January when the ones who bought you in the summer you haven't effectively utilized properly? So I think this is Arteta and Edu, who's left. They brought this upon themselves by not properly planning in the summer. Because we have injury-prone players, like Tomiyasu is injury-prone. We know Gabriel Jesus is injury-prone. There's times Jorginho hasn't been available because of injury. So this isn't anything new from Arsenal. They should have prepared knowing that there are certain players who would get injured and won't be available for us for the full season. And we saw players like Nketiah. We sent Reece Nelson on loan. Now, I've wanted them gone, but not at the expense of not bringing a replacement. If you had no plans of bringing in a replacement, you should never have let those go. You should never have let those players go. Personally,
It's poor. It is poor planning. I think the thing with the ownership at Arsenal now, they're going to have to start questioning every bit of movement, motive that Arteta's got. Even his press conferences after the game now, you're starting to see that kind of.
don't even get me onto that. Don't even get me onto
It's
that press conference.
well, you're seeing. I'm not saying he's pressurized in the press conferences, but you're seeing, like, for instance, the ball comment after the Carabao Cup. The change of ball. I don't know if those comments that were put in our WhatsApp group were correct yesterday, but even
No,
the
they were
bits that
correct. They were correct. So
oh
basically,
oh
basically said, basically said like Arsenal deserved to win the game when you have the man on shots and possessions.
I don't think he's wrong in saying that, though. I don't think he's wrong in saying that.
No, but he said no, but he said that Arsenal didn't get what they deserved. I'm like, they got exactly what you deserve.
Yeah,
If
no,
you don't
that bit's a
finish
bit
the
mad.
chances, like this isn't anything. If you don't finish your chances, you're not going to win games. It's as simple as that. I don't care how many possession you have, how many chances. The whole point is to put the ball in the back of the net. If you don't put it in the back of the net and you lose, you
Doesn't count
deserve
for nothing.
everything you get. Exactly.
It's true. It's true. Kojo, Harry Maguire, I thought had a really good game yesterday. I think I feel because he's been taken. Obviously, the captaincy's been stripped off him. I think he's got a year extension now, hasn't he? The club, or if they've extended his contract for a year. I remember saying to you last week, I can't really see why they've kept him on, but I kind of do with performances like yesterday, where he kind of was the glue at the back a little bit. I thought Martinez was good as well. Dalot had a good game. Yoro came on and had a good game as well when he was subbed on. But Harry Maguire seems to be the player that's the more experienced at the back for United as well. Going down to 10 men again against Arsenal, as I said before, is no easy task. You would expect Arsenal to go on and win that game when you go down to 10 men. But Harry Maguire done his job, and Amarin got his subs right, I think, yesterday, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. Thing about Maguire is under Amorim, he's actually probably been the best centre back we've had since under Amorim, since Amorim came in. Talking about being in a back three for England, in a back three, he was comfortable. For Leicester, in a back three, he was comfortable. So with this team playing with a back three now, he seems like he's in his element again, and I think that's the most important thing. And I think that's why also he got that year extension, because Amorim can see him as a useful sort of player whilst we rebuild the team in the long term. And I don't see the problem. I don't see an issue with that. Obviously, I'm not one of his biggest fans. I'm not going to pretend I am. I'm really not. But credit where credit's due. When he's in the back three, and you've got like someone like Ugarte who will sort of facilitate and protect the back a little bit. He's the guy that will work in that formation, and it allows players like Dalot to be on the right side, Martinez on the left, a bit more comfortable on the ball, or slightly more agile, I should say, so they can deal with those things out wide whilst the fullbacks go, back and forth. Yeah, no, I'm satisfied with him, man. Very, very satisfied with him, man. Amorim, bro, I've told you, man, there's nothing that can shake me when it comes to Amorim, man. I'm telling you right now, whatever he does, I'm happy with it, man. I've been banging this guy's drum for God knows how long now. He's at the club now. I'm telling you, this might even be blind faith. One day we could get packed in 9-0, and I'll still say Amarim's at the wheel. You know what I mean? So, actually, you know what? We're gonna change that phrase, because that's what we said, at the wheel. The guy caused a lot of pain. So we're not going to sit at the wheel. He's doing a very good job, and we're happy with it. But yeah, it's just it's competent management at the end of the day, and I think that was the difference leading up to the extra time sort of thing, where the subs were made a lot more sense. I know Arsenal subs were a bit more forced with the injuries. I understand that, but you still have a choice as to who you bring on and how you bring them on, changing the shape wherever if you need to, asking different questions of the United defense. But in extra time, United were a lot more comfortable. And yeah, we had a couple of counters that just again the end product, but that's gonna come with better players over time. So yeah, man, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Amarin got it spot on. I think even the goalkeeper choice as well. It could be question time for Onana in goal. I'll be honest.
I've been saying it anyway, man. Bruv.
Could be. But what do you both think? What do you think? Is it time for goalkeeper switch? Because I thought what's his Bayende? Is that his name?
Bayende.
Bayende. So I thought he had a really good performance. Bit shaky at times, but I thought even his penalty saves. But let's talk penalties actually, because we spoke about it. We spoke about it before we came live, and me and Basil were talking about David Raya, man. Them penalties were just. Let's get it out. Let's get it out of the system, Basil. Let's get it out of the system.
Let me start.
You go.
In there, those penalty saves were absolute world class. People don't understand. Like when you look at those penalties, they're not bad penalties because they actually both penalties are going right in the corner, and the ability to be agile enough to get down and stretch and use your forearm to make those saves. Like I don't think people spoke enough about the quality of those penalty saves. I mean, keepers can make penalty saves, but when you look at the quality, I thought both penalty saves were world-class penalty saves, like absolute quality. And I didn't think they got a mention enough, especially the Havertz one. I think the Havertz one was a very, very good penalty save. Obviously, he was a bit shaky with his kicking during times of the game, but like I say, still a young goalkeeper. I would probably say, I've never rated Onana. I thought Onana did well for Inter, but as a shot stop, I've never rated Onana. So I was surprised when they got rid of De Gea and spent 50 million on Onana. Like Onana will have good games, but he's just not a reliable goalkeeper over the period of the season. He would be prone to a mistake or prone to letting a silly goal. So potentially, maybe you may need to switch up the goalkeeper and give him a run and see whether he proves to be any better or give you any better. Me and Theo were mentioning it earlier. Braya's attempts for saves, I can't even explain just how despicable they were. I mean, he's already moving before the players have even reached the ball. So all the players have to do is look, hold on, you've committed to one side, slot it to the other side, which is what every single player did because they'd seen his movement. And it's crazy that sometimes keeper fake, they make a movement, then go back to the other side. He made the move, then dived, and the players are like, okay, you've kind of committed to the dive, slot to the other side. It was diabolical keeping for Raya during the penalty shootout. I mean, it was shocking. And me and Faye were saying earlier, even if you're going to dive, commit to a dive. I don't even know what dives Raya was attempting for those penalties because it wasn't even like I picked a spot and committed to the dive. It was like a half dive. And I was just like, this is just absolutely pathetic goalkeeping in a shootout. Absolutely pathetic. For me as a keeper, you kind of wait last minute until the guy is just about getting to the ball because then you don't want to give away anything and then commit to a save. If you dive the wrong way, that's fine. Commit to the dive, but at least you picked your spot and committed. But don't kind of do a half commitment and then dive before he's even got there. Make that decision a lot easier for him. I'm surprised. If it was me and I was sitting there on Match of the Day, I would have absolutely highlighted those disgraceful dives as a highlight point because they were shambolic. I don't think I've seen anything like that before. For 1 or 2 penalties, fine, but for all 5 penalties, shambolic.
Yeah, it was bad. It was crazy. I didn't notice it live. I watched it when I went on Twitter.
The first penalty, I noticed it, and then he did it for the second one. So thinking, what's doing it? Then he continued doing it, and I thought, what on earth is this? Yeah. That's when I knew he was not saving a single penalty during that shootout.
It was mad. It was mad. Joshua Zertsky, though, what a difference 2 weeks can make, because it was only just over 2 weeks ago. Apparently, well, I still don't call them United fans because they weren't probably United fans booing him off at Old Trafford 30 minutes into the game. But he came on and he scored the pen. And obviously, who have you got next in the round, Kojo? Who you got next?
Leicester
away.
Not at home.
No, Old Trafford.
Like it makes a difference anyway. Let's turn you
Wow.
over.
Wow. Wow.
Like it makes a. I'm basing it on current form, innit? On current form, I'm saying that because anything can happen in the cup. Like no one could tell me that Brentford were going to lose to Plymouth, and Tottenham are going to get led to an extra time result against Tamworth. But what next now for Amarin? Because obviously you got a league game in a week, I'd assume as well.
We got game Thursday, Southampton.
Rashford, from what I'm hearing now, it's between him and Carl Walker, who AC Milan can sign. They can only sign one non-EU player this window, so it looks like it's going to be one of those two. But Amarin seems to be, like we spoke about last week, be getting things right at Manchester United. At some point, though, does he pick one, Amarin? And the same, I'm going to ask you the same as well, Basil. Does our I can't ask you because you're out now, but all attention now has to be on the league for Arsenal. But for Amarin, does he have to maybe focus on one or the other, and dedicate more time focusing on maybe winning the FA Cup and getting a Europa spot rather than top four?
Nah, I mean, well, top four is a myth at this point. But
Never say never, Kojo. Never say never.
no, I hear you. But man, it's peak right now. No, look, I don't look at it like that because Amarim's ideas is he always wants to win. When he puts the team out, it's to win. He's very clear. The first couple of weeks was managing fitness, injuries. He has to experiment, see who his best player is, and all that kind of stuff. But or rather, his best players are in positions. But he's looking to try and get all the W's. There's no reason for us to not try and win the FA Cup, especially with FA Cup. Well, this season you get midweek fixtures in the league now, but more time you get FA Cup and then you have a break in the week anyway. You go back to the league anyway. So I think just go for it. Just try and win as many games. The priority in general should always be the league, in general. So I'm
Even
hoping
where
we
you're
can
on the
do
league
that.
now, though, like you've just said, like what you're
Absolutely,
13th.
absolutely, because we can at least push for a Europa League spot, at least, because the teams above us are not. They haven't shown. There's no team above us apart from the team that's top of the table that's shown an ultimate level of consistency. That's just the truth. And Brentford, Brighton are above us. Brighton have been in shocking form the last 2 months, but because we've been in shocking form as well, we haven't climbed above them. Spurs are Spurs. You know what I mean? Like there's so many teams above us that you look at them and say, yeah, they've got good players, they can compete, but they're also not consistent enough. So we shouldn't sort of look above us and be like, I don't know. We can get you at least a Europa League spot. I'm calling it blanket right now. We're not getting a top four spot. Call that point blank. We're not getting a top four. I'll be very, very, very shocked if we get top four. And I'll come on this podcast and rather than praise my team, I think I'll be telling off all the other teams as to why you've let this happen. but push for Europa League at least, man. Push for Europa League. 5th and 6th. 6th is what I'd say push for. 7th Conference League, so be it. But it
You
needs
don't
to try
want
and
to be in
start
that
doing-
competition,
I don't mind it if it means we can start doing what you do, just put man them there to go and play and then just wherever, man. You know what I
You
mean?
don't want to be in there, man. You don't want to be seeing your team kick up at 3:30.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you.
I work from home on Thursday, so that's fine by me, man. But yeah, no, we'll just push for the league more than anything. And then when it comes to the cup games, go for it. We got Europa League, tough game against Lazio because
Tough.
Lazio they're not a great team, but we're not in great form either. So it's gonna be a tough game. Yeah, man, just push for the league and then go from there. The rest go from there. But it's promising. If you look at our results, we've had a lot of up and downs. But the teams we should have we've beaten. Like Everton, for example, we spanked them. We got to City, beat them. Got to Liverpool last week, got a good draw, and we were worth the money in our draw as well. And we've come to Arsenal. Arsenal, yes, they're not in great form, but Arsenal are a better side right now, and we've gone there. We've knocked them out of the FA Cup, and we show a lot of resilience. So it's all key factors to take in, man. So one step at a time, but we're doing all right.
Agreed, man. Good assessment, man.
I agree with Kojo. You have to focus on the league because, unfortunately, the cups don't. You can't build any confidence or style of play on the cups because they only come every few weeks. Whereas the league is where you can start to implement your ideas. You can start to get players focused on what it is you want to do. You can get them sharp with what you're trying to implement. So I'll say focus on the league. And not even focus on position. I'll say more focus on first getting the players understanding your style, and two, just getting a run going, because that builds confidence. If that's preparation for your summer preparation and the start of next season, start doing that now. Which is why, whether United, like I said, I don't think United fans should really care if they get knocked out the FA Cup, really and truly. I think there's bigger priorities that they need to focus on, which is just getting the team playing and getting the team understanding what the manager wants for them, or just preparing the team for next season. I think that should be their focus. And I think you can only do that by focusing on the league. I don't think the cups would help, because you look at Ten Hag won the FA Cup and look at how he started the season. It did nothing for Manchester United come the start of the season. All it did was cover the cracks that were already there, and it allowed Ten Hag to kind of have the confidence that, oh, I've won something, I'm doing well, when really and truly you weren't. And obviously, like I said, it then blinded the board into giving him a year extension and keeping him on for the start of the season. So I don't think, like I said, United won the cup last season and the FA Cup. I don't think they should be concerned with winning it this season. Just prepare that team for being competitive again. That should be the goal, and you can only do that via the league.
I agree, and just to add on to that, I'd say for a manager that's definitely wanting to replenish the team and bring in new players, you're not going to convince them by finishing bottom half of the table and winning an FA Cup. You need to finish as high as you can and prove that as a manager you can get the current crop playing. So a better come in and say, I want to be part of this, project, and hopefully get this team back to where they feel like they should be. So yeah, honestly, just get the league wins in. Southampton's first game at Old Trafford, please. I don't want to hear anything else but a W. Get that win. Man.
You're coming straight back on if you get a loss, though. You know that, right?
I'll come on, but I might have to just sit here in silence. I feel baffled.
Listen, they got a new manager there. You never know, man. You never know. But
the bounce, yeah,
the bounce. But Basil,
you guys spank Southampton. Even if you don't spank them, just walk away the victory. There is absolutely no way I'm accepting a draw or a loss from United.
This is why I'm not saying a heavy defeat. I'm not saying a heavy win, because if you notice their fixtures,
even if it's 1-0, 2-1, just a win.
This is it, because they've been spanked a lot this season. But if you look at the teams they faced in terms of the better teams, Liverpool was a 3-2 tough game. City was only 1-0. Arsenal was 3-1, and you know what I mean. Like when it comes to the sort of teams that they should be really getting dealt with or be dealt by. Sorry. They find another gear just to make it as difficult as possible. But when they go against Brentford, they get smacked 5-0. So
off the back of that Swansea result, you never know, man. After was it 3-0? You never know, man. You never know. We could,
maybe they're gonna face Europa League, innit? Maybe them.
Maybe. But Basil, 2010, the last time that Spurs beat Arsenal at the Emirates, 3-2. You cannot. Say you, but Arteta cannot afford for a loss in this game without the injuries as well.
He can't. The issue you have with prior to like where Arsenal are now is that teams kind of feared Arsenal. So teams knew Arsenal were defensively strong, so didn't overcommit, and they knew Arsenal, the way they attacked could hurt you. And so, in the past, I think there's always been kind of a bit last year. There's been a bit of a fear factor of Arsenal in terms of they can hurt us. I think that's completely gone now. Over the last few years, I think you'll probably see a different Tottenham side. I think you'll see a Tottenham side, even though it's at the Emirates, who feel they can get a result, and I think you'll see them play a bit differently. I think they'll be more up for it because of the bad run, and I think Arsenal are in a place where I can't see how they get out of this rut. And the reason why I say this is because I don't think we have a manager who's willing to tweak things with this team. And when I mean tweak, I'm just talking from a tactical and approach play, because our attack right now is just the way our attacking approach is horrible, and it's not going to create us many chances and doesn't allow. Because I've always said one thing: the reason why attackers aren't great, and I include Saka himself, is because I never look at Saka, Martinelli, Havertz, or Jesus. I never look at them and think, you guys are going to score more than one goal in the game. If you're going to score, I always look, it's always going to be one goal. Whereas I look at other teams, Haaland, I can see him scoring multiple goals in a game. I can see Chelsea forward scoring more than one goal in the game. Liverpool forward scoring more than one goal in a game. Arsenal, even if they score a lot, the goals are spread out.
Yeah.
So we don't really have players who can really score multiple multiple goals in a game. And that's sometimes down to our approach and how Arteta sets up in a game. It isn't beneficial sometimes for our attackers, really and truly the way we approach. So because of that, I think Tottenham will think, well, the way Arsenal are approaching this game is going to be the same old. So there's not as much to fear as what we used to. We can kind of plan against that and also hurt Arsenal with some of our attacking players. The only thing that can benefit Arsenal is that Tottenham still have kind of a makeshift defense in terms with all the injuries. So potentially that could bode beneficial for Arsenal. So if we do win, I think it will be for that case. But at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal draw or lose that game, because at the moment, confidence with this club and with the players is at all-time low. And I think even the players themselves don't even believe in what it is Arteta's trying to achieve when we step on the pitch.
I agree. Kojo, if this is as we round up and we wrap up, but if Arteta loses this, is there a case to say that Arteta might not see the season out?
No, he'll see.
I'm just listening.
I love the chaos.
I'm just saying that because listen, I was listening. I don't usually, but I was listening to like Arsenal Fan TV yesterday and all the rest of it. And a lot of these fans are sick of Arteta now. Like Basil was saying before, the players aren't even really buying into what he's doing now. When you lose that confidence in the dressing room, does it become a point where you can't sustain that anymore? And I'm just saying, I'm just throwing a question out there. Do Arsenal have it in them to sack Mikel Arteta in this season?
No, they don't. No, they don't. They'll keep him no matter what. I think if when it comes to the end of the season, you can maybe sort of assess how things are going. But one area where I think they've made a big problem for themselves is he has quite a lot of power, and that's a big problem. Now, obviously, I'm a fan of managers being allowed to be managers. I have a big say in who I bring in because I want to build my squad. I want to do this. I want to do that. Right. But there has to be a reason why you allow that. And when I say that, there has to be, when we talk about credit in the bank, that's what we talk about, credit in the bank. I've brought in accolades here. I've helped you build something here. We're winning trophies consistently enough that you can say, I trust you. Bring your players in. And I don't think he hasn't done that, quite frank. And if you look at his knockout history, this is where the big issue is. He's done well in the league. I won't question that. Finishing second last year, close in the title race, you can't get mad at that. But if you look at their FA Cup history alone since they've won it, in that year when he came in sort of halfway through the season.
3 third-round exits and 2 fourth-round exits.
Thank you, Basil. It's damning. It's damning. To be quite, it's damning. So they're right to ask questions about him. The fan base can definitely ask questions about him. There's no
even with knockouts in other competitions. If you go further back, like Champions League, like last season, Porto, we played poorly and scraped penalties. Then obviously Bayern, which wasn't a great Bayern, we've lost. We've lost to Villarreal in the Europa League. We've lost to who was the other team that we lost to? I can't remember. We've lost to another team, like teams that we shouldn't be losing. Like his knockout records and performances, whether it be League Cup, whether it be FA Cup, whether it be Europa League or Champions League, when you look at how Arsenal perform against certain teams and when we've been knocked out, it's very, very poor. Very poor.
So I was asking the question because I think his time's coming to an end. I do. It won't obviously be this.
Yeah, I think Theo, I don't think Arsenal will get rid of him by the end of the season. And the funny, ironic thing, I still think he'll be there come for next season. But then the better question would be...
He can't be.
I personally, knowing that Arsenal board...
He will be.
I think he will be there. I don't want him there personally, but I think he will be. But I guess the bare question would be, if he's there at the start of next season, let's say Arsenal don't win anything, and let's say they finish second or third, knocked out the Champions League at some stage, don't win anything, and he's there at the start of next season, do you think next season should be or could be his last season if, once again, Arsenal don't win anything?
I don't think he sees out next season. If he's there at the start of next season and he doesn't, you can see already the signs are there that he's not going to win anything. The players aren't playing for him. The fans are still as they are now. I don't think he sees out next season. This is why I asked the question. I'd get rid of him now. I'd get rid of him before the end of this season. Bring in a manager, take the hit this season, and then start afresh in the summer.
I think you got to give him. I think you got to give him one more summer. But this is where I was talking about the power.
Why? When if he goes, and then you give him a whole summer. This is what they've done it with United with Ten Hag, and we've done it with Chelsea as well. And you give him a summer, you bring more players, and then before you know it, you sack him midway through the season. Then you're going to write off 2 seasons on the bounce. You write this season off and next season.
No, I want to compare it to the Ten Hag thing because look, okay. Where I will give credit to Arteta is obviously he's had to rebuild Arsenal from when they were finishing, sort of languishing elsewhere. We could see that they needed a big rebuild. Players weren't working anymore, so he had to work with them. 2 very, very much seasons where they suffered, finishing 8th twice. Then they finished 5th. It got a bit better. Then obviously they're finishing in the top 4 now. So the reason why I'm saying you have to give him the summer is because look, Arsenal have given him this power that I was talking about. So this is the summer where I say to him personally, look. You've been here 5 years. This is your 6th season, or 4th season, I should say. I need you, if you're going to bring in players, I need you to think about what type of players you're bringing in, and if you're actually fixing the jigsaw. Because one thing I keep hearing about Arsenal fans is they feel like they need there's one more piece missing, and it's the forward, it's the striker. And my issue when I look at the Arsenal squad is you still need to fix that defense, and I'm not talking about the 2 in the middle. I'm talking about the guys on the sides because you keep employing centre backs or centre midfielders in fullback positions, and I don't understand why when there's a market there to sign wing fullbacks to play in their actual positions. Ben White started as a centre back, was put into right back. Tommy Yasu is a fullback that was signed, but he's injury prone unfortunately, as was Tierney. So then you sign Calafiori to go left back, who by trade is another centre back. Miles Lewis Skelly is a centre midfielder playing left back. Even look, Pep Guardiola has duped everybody. Zinchenko is a cam he played as an attacking midfielder before he went Man City, by the way, and he plays attacking midfield still for his country. But for some reason, you're putting him left back. Like, sign players that play the positions because then you'll see an actual elevation in the game because they know the role. They know how to play it properly. They know how to play the position properly. When you're playing Calafiori there, he's a good ball player. Technically, he's sound on the ball, but he's not going to be fantastic going forward all the time because he doesn't know how to play that position. One tournament in the summer does not decide that for you, And at the right back position, if Ben White is injured, and he's done well at right back, so I'll give him that. He's done well at right back, and your next move is to play a centre midfielder / defensive midfielder in that position, then you haven't improved that position at all. The centre backs have done great. Those 2 have a partnership. The goalkeeper's a sound signing. He's done well. And you've got a decent enough balance in the midfield on the pitch. But you need a striker, and by God, you need to finish those 2 sides. And the last 2 positions, a right winger, so Saka can have a flipping break. And on the left side, because let's be blunt and honest about it, Martinelli and Leandro Trossard are not good enough to take Arsenal forward. That's the be-all and end-all of it. So it's not a one-position thing. We're talking about 5 or 6 players coming in. But whether he identifies them and signs them,
thank you, Coach. That's the point, and that's what I'm saying is that, and that's what I'm saying. Last summer was bad. Even the summer beforehand was bad because there's times when you look at it now, we need more players, as you see, because obviously we haven't rectified them as the seasons have gone by. So what's happened is, as Coach said, the problems have been growing and growing because of that. Because Arsenal fans, which I find strange, when I listen, they always think it's just a striker. I'm like, what makes you think that we can have a striker up front? It doesn't cover some of the issues we have in other areas. You can have Isak there. You can have a Haaland there. If our wingers are not doing their job, what chances are these guys going to get? We don't have good wingers at the moment. I think Sterling is going to just not get an opportunity. So sometimes I discount him in the conversation because Arteta just doesn't include him. But then if I look at the rest who play regularly, Trossard, I have zero ideas of what's happened to him this season.
Martinelli as well.
Diabolical this season. Martinelli is an atrocious player. Absolutely, I'm sorry to say, I've been saying it for many years. He's not a good player. Arsenal fans will gas you to say he's not a good player. Never has been. Obviously, he had that one season where he scored goals, but if you look at his ability as a footballer, very, very poor. So we actually need two wingers, and as Kojo said, because we need someone who can actually come in and play when Saka's not playing. Another position, Kojo, which you've actually missed, and I remember I've mentioned this to you before on the pod, is the Odegaard position. Because I've always said Odegaard himself is not a consistent full season player. And I've always said, and I mentioned it to Fia earlier, we need a player who's either going to deputize when Odegaard isn't playing well or push him out the squad. Simple as that. I've mentioned he's not effective enough in that position to warrant being an untouchable. He's been bad for the last few games, and this isn't just this season. This is since it's been his whole Arsenal career. He has patches where he's good, and then the patches where he goes missing. But no one mentions anything in those patches where he goes missing. I notice it. It doesn't go unnoticed for me. So we need another creative midfielder, because what you find as you see, if there's no one to come on for him, there's no creativity. If he plays the full 90 minutes, there's no creativity. You need to have creative outlets. City have it. They can take off De Bruyne now and bring in other players who can create. And they also have players in the academy who can create. When you look at McAtee, who can create stuff. Oscar Bob is another player. Obviously, these are young players who create stuff. Palmer come from their academy, who can create stuff. But they're not afraid to take off the likes of De Bruyne or Foden when they're not playing and say, bring on someone else who can do this. Don't go, Jay.
Do you see why when we spoke about Odegaard in the past, I wasn't being as harsh on him, because I was saying I wasn't trying to protect his performances, or lack of performances, rather, I should say. It's an issue that most teams, apart from it seems like two teams in this league, or three teams, because Chelsea have signed a lot of players, don't seem to understand. You can't have just one creator in your team, and then when he's gone, you have no one else creating. What are you doing in that instant? It's impossible to create chances. So
that comes back to the recruitment side, though, for me as well. So
exactly.
But are you going to trust Arteta to do that, or are you going to trust? I don't think you can. You can't give him another roll at the dice.
I can't lie to you, Theo. They've got no choice at this point. I'm sorry, but they've got no choice. This is a whether you like it or not situation. You've got no choice, mate.
But listen, you can't let him roll the dice again. That's my opinion. If you let him roll the dice,
if it was me, definitely not, because I think it's. And do you know what? We don't even have time. We'll leave it for now, because there's another player who's getting off scot-free. And obviously, you and Cahill will go on to me about being harsh. Declan Rice is getting off scot-free.
No, you're right. You're right.
For his price tag, he's getting off scot-free.
No, you're right.
But but that's another. I'm not even going to
do that. We'll do that later in the week. Let's do
We'll
that.
We'll do that.
Because we need to talk about Grealish as well. We need to do that about Grealish as well. I want to talk about Grealish.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. The price tag and what they offer.
Yes, let's do that. Let's wrap this one up. But let's leave that one in the back of our minds as well, because that is definitely a conversation we need to have on here. But Kojo, Basil, thank you as always. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments as well. And we will be back later on this week. We are definitely going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about the Cole Palmer thing that we didn't speak about. I didn't forget about that, you know. You man thought I forgot about the Cole Palmer conversation we had, but we haven't forgot about the conversation. Look at
Kojo. The Salah thing?
Yes.
Bring it.
Yes.
Bring it.
But thank you very much for listening and watching, everyone. We'll be back later on this week. Enjoy the rest of the week. Hope it's a good one, man. We'll be back soon.